Cancer, gentle heart of the tides. You are standing at the shoreline of an emotional homecoming you have longed for in the deepest parts of your soul. And this is not just a ripple of comfort. It is a sacred current of peace rising to hold you, the kind that reshapes your inner world. This is not a fleeting mood, a distant wish, or a hope you're afraid to cling to. This is a promise being written into the rhythm of your own heart, a lifetime of empathy flowing back to you with profound tenderness and nothing standing in its way. If you have found yourself here, it was no accident, no random click in the quiet hours. Something ancient and knowing within you, a whisper from your intuition, a subtle pull from the moon itself, led you directly to this space. And maybe you've felt it too, like the quiet stillness before a gentle rain, a deep hum beneath the surface of your days. You can't quite name it, but you've sensed a profound shift in the emotional tides. And you are right to feel it, because beneath the surface of your protective shell, something powerful has been forming, soft and certain, like a pearl taking shape in the dark. A divine alignment is finally leaning in Cancer's favor, where compassion meets true safety. This isn't small. This shift honors every time you chose nurturing over judgment, offered a sanctuary, when you barely had one for yourself, forgave when the memory still ached. Every quiet act of care was seen. You were not overlooked. You were being woven into grace. And now the cycle turns toward you with a gentle hand. There is a doorway opening before you now. You won't see it with your eyes, but your spirit recognizes the feeling of it. You are on the verge of profound emotional renewal. And in this message, we will trace how security, love, and your own intuition are aligning to create a foundation that can no longer be shaken. So breathe deep. This space we have entered together was not built for noise. It was made for feeling. You are safe here, safe to be vulnerable, safe to let this in. Let me ask you something, Cancer. Have you been waiting for that unmistakable feeling of home, something real, something true that tells you all your quiet care and sleepless nights spent worrying for others were not in vain? Then stay close, because what is unfolding here today is not just another message. It is a revelation of something sacred, and it just might change how you see every emotional burden you have ever carried. Take a moment to ground your energy by commenting below. You might write, "I am ready for my peace," or share a number that has been following you. Perhaps 2, 4, 7, or even 1,111. When you write it, you are not just typing, you are anchoring an intention. You are placing your heart into the current of your own alignment. And before we step deeper, let me speak this with my whole soul. Thank you. Thank you for arriving. Thank you for listening, for your likes, your shares, every gentle action that helps shape this into a sanctuary for sensitive souls like you, the nurturers, the feelers, the dreamers. Your presence is part of this unfolding. And what you are about to receive is not here to entertain. It is here to validate. It is the universe whispering back to you, "I have not forgotten you. Now let me take care of you." So Cancer, what has been moving through your heart, your spirit that brought you here today? Because by the time this message has run its course, you will feel it. That reason calling you home to yourself. Cancer, there is something deeply sacred in the emotional labor you have carried. The comfort offered that no one saw. The silent prayers whispered for others. The generous moments you gave from your heart, never knowing if that care would ever be returned. But the universe, unlike the loud and demanding world, moves like the tides. It follows the pulse of your spirit, not the rush of expectation. And for you, that pulse has always been guided by empathy, deep-seated loyalty, and a longing for things to feel safe and whole again. The nature of your sign, Cancer, isn't just about emotion or family. It's about a deep, intuitive knowing, a trust in the unseen currents that connect all things. Yes, the moon rules you, but so does the unseen law of gentle return. When you stayed soft instead of hardening your heart, when you offered love even when you felt depleted, when you created a safe harbor for someone else instead of turning them away, those choices did not dissolve into thin air. They were written down in a record that lives far beyond what the eye can see, not recorded in ink but held in memory and light. And that light is now circling back to you as sacred security. This is not a simple reward. It is not a transaction. It is divine timing guided by something ancient and wise, like the slow, steady pull of the tide, the way healing happens in the quiet moments, and one day, without warning, the feeling of peace simply arrives. And in your case, Cancer, that peace is arriving now. You are entering your season of return, not by force, but by gentle surrender. Not because you tried to control people or outcomes, but because you remained anchored in love even when it felt like no one noticed. That strength, the kind that holds and protects, that is what your soul was building. And in the silence, grace was doing its most intricate work. You were not being left behind, you were being prepared. And now the same universe that once felt so overwhelming is beginning to rise in your direction, speaking in the language of sanctuary. Sometimes divine timing holds us in a place of emotional waiting longer than we think we can bear. But those delays become our depth and the burdens become our wisdom. Once you have navigated those waters, Cancer, you turn around and see that every goodbye was protection. Every retreat was for restoration. Even the loneliest moments were quietly crafting the path to your true inner home. It is a pattern we see in the oldest stories, that blessings do not always come when we demand them, but when we create space. That posture of open arms and a trusting heart makes room for miracles to gently wash ashore. It is like tending a garden by the sea, trusting the mists will come. You do not demand the flowers grow. You nurture the soil with quiet knowing. That is what you have done, Cancer, and the gentle rain is here. So as you stand at the edge of this turning tide, I hope you can feel the role you have played in calling this in. You are not just a passive receiver of fate. You helped shape this moment. And what is returning to you is not just material. It is a deep, unshakable feeling that you stayed true to your heart. That is a wealth that can never be taken away. If these words reach something tender within you, if you have ever felt emotionally drained or unseen, but still chose kindness, then claim this truth I have poured out in love. Now I am ready to be filled with peace. Because this, Cancer, is your season, and you did not wander into it by accident. You arrived here with grace. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs do not crash like a wave. They arrive like the tide, quietly and steadily, and then all at once they have lifted everything. Cancer. This is exactly how the energy around your security and finances is beginning to shift. There is a current of ease now, a rhythm that is starting to soothe. Money and resources that once felt like a source of anxiety are slowly beginning to flow toward you. And those opportunities for stability you thought had drifted away are finding their way back. Not by luck, but by something deeper. A design that has always known how to bring you what you need to feel safe. From an astrological view, when Jupiter, the planet of expansion, or the moon, your ruling guide, touches your fourth house of home or second house of security, it is as if the doors to your personal sanctuary finally unlock. A sanctuary once sealed by past anxieties or a fear of not having enough. These houses do not just speak to money. They hold the story of how you receive, how safe you feel allowing the universe to provide for you. And the truth is, many Cancer souls have spent years giving their resources, time, and energy without realizing how much they were resisting letting that same support flow back in. But that is changing now. Imagine a still, protected cove. The water calm, clear, and deep. That feeling of peace is what's becoming available to you. What you are sensing is not a new beginning, but the return of a long overdue sense of safety. In daily life, this could look like a loan being approved for a home, an unexpected check arriving, a family matter, resolving peacefully, or a new stream of income appearing that allows you to work from a place that feels like a sanctuary. Even so, this moment calls for your gentle presence. Just because the tide is coming in does not mean you should stop tending to your own shores. This is your time to lean into what truly makes you feel secure. Clear out clutter in your home, create a small altar or a peaceful corner, and tend to your physical space as if it were a sacred temple. The safer your environment feels, the more abundance it will attract. Call your security in with care. Create a vision not just of bank accounts, but of the feeling those resources create. Is it freedom from worry, the ability to nurture your loved ones, a home that is a true haven from the world? The clearer you are on the feeling, the faster the universe knows how to respond. And as you do this, do not forget your body. If financial stress has been held in your nervous system, tending to it can shift everything. Warm baths, gentle routines, chamomile tea, these are not luxuries, they are keys. A calm nervous system draws safety in. Anxiety pushes it away. Perhaps you were never taught that it is okay to want to feel secure or that your thriving does not take from anyone else. But Cancer, your security blesses more than just you. When you are full, you become a wellspring that nourishes everyone you touch. Remember this in many sacred traditions, security is a form of grace. Not all miracles look like flashes of light. Some look like the rent being paid without worry. Some look like having enough to be generous. And some come as the quiet, deep exhale of finally feeling safe in your own life. So if you have been waiting, nurturing, and hoping, take this as confirmation. You are not imagining what you feel. You are tuning in because the shift has already begun. If there is a vision of security that has been held in your heart, a home to buy a debt, to clear a creative project to fund, write it in the comments. Put it into words. Claim it with your gentle heart. That simple act could be the very key that opens the door that has been waiting for you. This is your time to receive not just resources, but the profound peace of finally being secure. And it is beautiful how love works in much the same way. Not by chasing it, but by creating a safe harbor for it to arrive. Cancer love is circling back to you. But this time it is not a storm, not a drama you have to navigate. It is calmer now, more mature, more like home. It is love that does not need to be fixed because it already sees your wholeness. It reflects the version of you that has healed, that has learned to nurture yourself first. After guiding so many through the tides of connection, I can tell you the energy moving through your sign now is unlike anything before. In tarot, when the Chariot, your card of soulful forward motion, is paired with the Two of Cups, it speaks to a partnership that is not just a deep connection, but a true aligned journey. Two hearts moving in the same direction. This is not a fleeting romance. It is two people arriving as safe harbors for each other, ready to build a life together with tenderness and trust. You may be feeling this already. Perhaps a connection is deepening with a profound sense of peace. Or maybe someone new is showing up, not with grand gestures, but with quiet consistency, with presence. And if you are single, this message is especially for you. You are not waiting for love to complete you. You are preparing for a love that feels like coming home to yourself. Because when your energy settles into its own worth, Cancer, you stop calling in partners who mirror your old insecurities and begin to draw in those who resonate with your healed heart. Numerology reflects this as well. The number 2, a symbol of partnership and harmony, paired with the number 4, which carries the frequency of stability, foundation, and home, signals that the love entering your field now is not only emotionally true, but divinely secured. You did not stumble here. You grew into this space with quiet strength. But true love asks for more than readiness. It asks for inner clarity. So if you are currently sharing your life with someone, this is your moment to take a gentle inventory. Does this connection feel like a sanctuary or a storm? Does it bring more peace than anxiety? When love becomes restorative instead of draining, that is when you know a new timeline has begun. The colors in your energetic field right now, soft silver blue and pearly white, carry meaning. These are the hues of the moon of intuition and divine feminine energy. Surrounding yourself with them can help soothe your system and remind your spirit that love does not have to feel like a battle. In fact, the truest love rarely ever does. There is a truth often shared in spiritual guidance: the kind of love you are asking for will not arrive until there is room to hold it. That means releasing what once felt familiar but was never truly safe. The need to overgive the habit of loving people who needed fixing, the fear that being alone meant you were unlovable. But you are not that version of yourself anymore, the one who settled for closeness without true safety. And because of that, You are now ready for something whole. Whether partnered or not, your heart is opening not out of need but out of readiness. And your love life is preparing to mirror the deep well of peace you have spent years building within. Take a breath and tune in. Can you feel a love returning, or perhaps a new one gently moving closer? Write it in the comments. Love is coming to me as my safe harbor, because when you speak it, you claim it. And when you claim it, it begins to move toward your shore. And what often happens, perhaps even now, is that once security flows and love steadies, the soul finally has space to speak. Not because your spirit was ever silent, but because the noise of anxiety has softened just enough for you to hear. Cancer, this next phase of your becoming is not about searching, it is about listening. You might begin to notice signs in subtle, persistent ways, the same song playing 3 times in a day, repeating numbers like 222 or 444, or the quiet appearance of 1111. Dreams that feel more like memories or messages. A feeling in your gut that turns out to be profoundly right. These are not random. They are signals that your intuitive field is clearing, becoming more potent. Because when the nervous system calms, when the heart stops defending itself against old hurts, your intuition, your greatest gift, begins to flourish. Spiritual awakening does not always crash in like thunder. For you, Cancer, it arrives like the quiet rising of the tide. It is the courage to set a boundary with love. It is walking away from a draining situation without needing to explain why. It is trusting a deep inner feeling even when it defies all logic. That is the essence of your intuition, a voice not of thought but of deep ancestral knowing. In energy work, we often say this is the moment your soul starts to navigate. You stop making choices from a place of fear or obligation. You begin making them based on what feels true, what feels safe, what quietly resonates in your core. And that kind of guidance rarely leads you astray, especially when you allow it to move at its own gentle pace. There is something so human about wanting to be guided, to know we are not navigating these waters alone. And while I will not link this to any one belief, I can tell you this across every story I have heard. The moment someone surrenders, truly asks for guidance from their deepest self, something shifts. Sometimes it is as simple as feeling a nudge to call a friend who needed to hear from you. Sometimes it is a thought that comes from nowhere and changes the course of your day. These are not fantasies, these are moments of grace, and the more you trust them, the more they begin to appear. So, if you feel this shift unfolding within you, honor it. Do not dismiss your sensitivity. It is your superpower. Begin your day with 5 quiet minutes, maybe looking out a window or holding a warm cup. You do not need a perfect ritual, just a breath, a pause, a simple invitation. Guide me gently. Keep a notebook by your bed and write down your dreams. Over time, the deeper currents will begin to reveal themselves. And if your space feels heavy, open a window and let the air move. Light a candle. Let the energy breathe again. Your surroundings are always reflecting your inner world. And Cancer, your intuition is not some far-off mystic gift. It is your original compass. The more you listen, the more clearly it speaks. So if you are here now nodding along because your life is already starting to shift in these exact ways, speak it out loud or write it in the comments. I trust the guidance within me. Because the truth is, the answers were never hiding. They have only been waiting for the quiet, for the space where you could finally hear them. You might not have seen it clearly before, but every retreat, every tear, every moment of waiting was part of a larger pattern unfolding. One that did not come to punish, it came to prepare. Cancer, you have been like a river held back by a dam of past pain and fear. Each heartbreak, each disappointment, every season of uncertainty, all of it built up pressure. But now that dam is ready to dissolve. The pressure is shifting. This is your release point, and what is arriving next moves with purpose, peace, and a powerful, gentle force. When we talk about unstoppable energy, we are not talking about aggression. For you, it is the unstoppable force of a river returning to the sea. It is the momentum that forms after years of doing the quiet work of healing, of learning to nurture yourself. You may not have always known where the path was leading, but you kept your heart open. You stayed soft. You stayed true. And in doing so, you reshaped your own frequency. You stopped leading from a place of fear and started moving from a place of deep inner trust. That is what the law of attraction truly answers to, not forced positivity, but true authentic alignment. And right now, you are aligning with a current that matches your readiness for peace. The very things you once worried about are now being gently resolved. The energy around you is soft, receptive, and incredibly magnetic. Not because you demanded it, but because you became it. Even in day-to-day life, think of how much changes when you stop worrying about the outcome. Decisions feel clearer. The right people show up. Support appears before you even ask for it. That is what it feels like when your own energy stops resisting and starts to flow. And while the world around you may take a moment to catch up, your inner compass already knows the way home. The road ahead is open because you have made peace with the waters you have traveled. In spiritual coaching, there is a truth we return to. Often what you think is holding you back is actually deepening your well of wisdom. I have seen that time and again in people who endured hardship only to emerge with a capacity for compassion that changed the world around them. It did not make sense then, but later the pattern always becomes clear. This cancer is where hindsight becomes insight. The moment when all the emotional storms make way for a full and undeniable peace. And it does not matter how many times things felt unstable before, because this is a different moment. You have changed, your energy has changed, and that means the outcomes will too. So if you have been feeling that deep hum beneath the surface, that stirring in your heart like something is about to settle, trust it. That is not wishful thinking. That is recognition. You are not a prisoner of your past emotions. You are the creator of your future peace. No old version of you, no past hurt, no fear can block what is already in motion. Say this aloud. If it lands in your spirit, I am no longer resisting. I am ready to flow. And when you write it below, let it be a vow not just to the universe, but to the most peaceful, centered part of yourself. Because readiness is not just an idea, it is a frequency, and you are already living in it. Cancer, if you have stayed with me this far, it is not just because you were curious. It is because something gentle and sacred inside of you recognized the truth. You were not just hearing words, you were listening with your entire being. And in that moment, you aligned with a vibration that only the truly ready can feel. You are not the same version of yourself who pressed play at the beginning. Not because of anything I said, but because something inside you finally came home. You have walked through seas of doubt that tried to drown you. You have carried the emotions of others like stones in your pockets. You have made sacrifices in silence, and still you chose to believe in love. Still you chose to stay soft. That choice, gentle, stubborn, and consistent, has made you powerful beyond measure. That quiet loyalty to your heart has formed a version of you that is no longer just surviving. You are finally ready to thrive from a place of deep peace. Security is arriving not to impress, but because you finally understand your worthiness to feel safe. Love is approaching not as a rescue, but as a mirror of your own emotional wisdom. And your intuition is deepening not to overwhelm, but to be your steady guiding light. None of this is a coincidence. These are the fruits of your devotion to your own heart. But beyond what is coming to you, the real treasure is who you have become on the way here, more grounded, more intuitive, more open and alive in your own gentle timing. So take a moment to ask yourself, what do I need to release to fully step into this next chapter? What old fear, what protective wall, what outdated story is asking to be let go so the security, love, and clarity waiting for you can finally take root? Can you feel it under your skin, that quiet voice that says, now? You are safe now. You do not need to see the full map. Just take the next true step, even if it is small. Maybe that means spending an evening just for yourself. Maybe it is reaching out to the person whose name has been on your heart. Or maybe it is simply closing your eyes after this message and whispering, yes, I am ready. And if that resonates, say it aloud or type it into the comments right now. I am ready to receive everything that feels like home. That declaration is not just poetic, it is magnetic. It tells the universe, I am no longer bracing for a storm. I am opening myself to the calm. And if this message echoed in your heart, I invite you to support this sacred space we have shared. Like this video, subscribe, and send it to another Cancer who may need this gentle reminder that their time for peace has come. Every word you write, every action you take, sends a ripple of kindness far beyond what we see here. And I am deeply, humbly thankful for your presence. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for trusting yourself. And thank you for allowing this space to hold a small part of your journey today. Because Cancer, this is not your ending. It is the moment the tide finally turns, bringing all the treasures back to your shore. So tell me, gentle soul, what part of this message felt like it was speaking just to you? What new feeling of peace are you ready to walk with? The door to your sanctuary is open, and your name is already written on the other side. So, will you walk through it?